Stop. Before you put on another outfit today, I need you to ask yourself one question. Who told you that was a rule? Because somewhere along the way, a lot of us over 60 absorbed a list of fashion don'ts that nobody actually wrote down, nobody actually agreed on, and honestly nobody ever explained. We just started avoiding things. Sleeves got longer. Colors got quieter. Hemlines got safer. Necklines crept higher. And one day we looked in the mirror and didn't quite recognize the woman staring back. Because she was dressing for invisibility instead of for herself. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Most of those unwritten rules were never about age at all. They were about a generation of department store mannequins and a handful of magazine editors in the 1980s deciding what appropriate looked like. And somehow that decision just stuck around for 40 years, getting repeated by well-meaning relatives and outdated style guides until we all just accepted it as fact. Today I'm flipping that script. I'm going to walk you through 7 things women over 60 are constantly told to avoid, and I'm going to show you exactly why most of that advice is outdated, where it actually came from, and what you should be doing instead. Some of these might surprise you. One of them might make you a little uncomfortable in a good way, because it's probably sitting in your closet right now. So stay with me until the end because number 4 is the one almost nobody talks about, and it's quietly ruining outfits for thousands of women who have no idea it's happening, even women who think their style is already dialed in. Let's get into it. Item 1. The oversized, shapeless top. For years, the advice was simple. Cover up. Go bigger. Hide the body under fabric like you're trying to disappear into a tent. And I understand where that came from. Somewhere in the 70s and 80s, oversized became shorthand for modest, and modest became shorthand for appropriate, and appropriate quietly became the only acceptable option for women past a certain age. But here's what nobody tells you. A shapeless top doesn't hide anything. It actually does the opposite. When fabric has no structure, it just hangs there and adds visual bulk in every direction, which makes you look larger than you are, not smaller, and definitely not more put together. Think about it this way. If you've ever seen a photo of yourself in a big, billowy top and thought, that doesn't look like me, it's not your body. It's the fabric. A shapeless garment has no relationship to the body underneath it, so the eye fills in the blanks, and it almost always fills them in unflatteringly. Structure does the opposite job. It tells the eye exactly where your waist is, exactly where your shoulders end, and that information is what reads as put together. What you want instead is something with a defined shoulder line and a bit of shape at the waist, even if it's relaxed. Think of a top that schemes rather than swallows. A wrap style, a top with a slight A-line cut, or even a structured blouse with darts does something magical. It creates a silhouette. And a silhouette is what makes an outfit look intentional instead of accidental. You can still have movement, you can still have comfort, you can still avoid anything tight or restrictive. The goal was never to look smaller. The goal is to look like you chose your clothes on purpose, not like you grabbed whatever was loose enough to forget about for the day. A simple test if you're not sure whether a top works for you. Stand in front of a mirror and look at your shoulder line. If you genuinely cannot tell where your shoulder ends and the fabric begins, that top is working against you, no matter how comfortable it feels. Item 2. Heavy, outdated costume jewelry. This one is tricky because jewelry is often the most emotional part of someone's wardrobe. Maybe that chunky brooch belonged to your mother. Maybe those clip-on earrings remind you of your wedding day. I'm not telling you to throw away your memories. I'm telling you to be intentional about how you wear them. The mistake isn't the jewelry itself. It's piling on multiple statement pieces at once, layering a bold necklace with oversized earrings and 3 bracelets, all competing for attention in the same outfit, the way it might have been styled decades ago when more was considered more. When everything is loud, nothing actually stands out. The eye doesn't know where to land, and instead of looking elegant, the whole look starts to feel busy, even chaotic. It's the visual equivalent of everyone in a room talking at once. Instead, pick one hero piece. If your earrings are dramatic, let your neck stay simple, maybe just a thin chain or nothing at all. If your necklace is the star, keep the ears quiet with a small stud or a delicate drop. This single shift, choosing one focal point instead of 5, instantly makes an outfit look curated rather than cluttered. And it actually makes each individual piece look more expensive and more elegant, even if it isn't. There's a quiet psychology to it too. When you wear less but choose it deliberately, people read confidence. When you wear everything at once, it can read as uncertainty, like you weren't sure which piece worked so you wore them all just in case. Trust one good piece. Let it do the talking. And don't feel pressured to retire the sentimental pieces entirely. Wear that brooch your mother gave you. Just wear it alone. Pinned to a simple coat or a solid colored blazer, where it can actually be seen and appreciated instead of getting lost in a crowd of competing metals and stones. Item 3. The wrong denim wash and fit. Denim gets a bad reputation in this age group, and that's a shame, because well-chosen jeans are one of the most versatile pieces in any wardrobe, dressing up just as easily as they dress down. The problem isn't denim itself. It's two specific mistakes, and they almost always travel together. The first is wearing a wash that's too light or too faded, which can read as dated rather than casual chic, especially if there's heavy whiskering or contrast fading that was popular 2 decades ago. The second, and this is the bigger one, is wearing a fit that was popular years ago but doesn't account for how your body has changed and how denim technology itself has changed. A high-rise, straight leg or slightly tapered jean in a rich, dark indigo wash does something most women don't expect. It elongates the leg, smooths the midsection without looking like shapewear, and reads as modern rather than mom jean nostalgic. Dark, uniform washes have a slimming effect that lighter, patchy washes simply cannot replicate, because there's no visual interruption pulling the eye around the leg. The fit matters more than almost anything else in your closet, because ill-fitting denim sends a message of not trying, when really, all it takes is finding the right rise and the right wash to send the opposite message entirely. If you've avoided denim altogether because of a bad experience years ago with a stiff, low-rise pair that never felt right, it's worth trying again. The fabric blends and cuts available now are genuinely different, with more give, better recovery, and rises that actually sit at the natural waist instead of cutting across the hip awkwardly. Item 4. The invisible mistake nobody talks about. Mismatched undertones. Here's the one I promised you. This isn't about a garment at all. It's about color, but not in the way you think. Most fashion advice tells you to avoid certain colors entirely after a certain age, like bright colors are somehow only for the young, or like pastels are the only safe option once you hit 60. That's nonsense, and frankly it's lazy advice. The real issue is undertone mismatch, wearing a color whose underlying warmth or coolness clashes with your skin's natural undertone, regardless of how bold or muted that color happens to be. Here's what happens. As we age, our skin tone often shifts slightly, sometimes cooler, sometimes with different contrast levels than it had decades ago, often because of changes in pigmentation and the natural softening of contrast between hair, skin, and brows. But many women keep buying the same colors they wore in their 30s without realizing their ideal palette has quietly shifted underneath them. Wearing a color with the wrong undertone doesn't make the outfit look bad exactly. It makes you look tired. It can wash out your complexion or make under-eye shadows more pronounced, even when you're perfectly rested and feeling great. The fix is simpler than you'd think, and you don't need a professional color consultation to figure it out, although that can certainly help if you want to go deeper. Hold a few different colored fabrics or tops up near your face in natural daylight, not artificial light, since indoor bulbs distort how colors actually read against skin. Watch your skin as you switch between them. The right undertone makes your eyes brighter and your complexion glow, almost like someone turned up the contrast slightly. The wrong one makes you look like you need a nap, flattening your features and dulling your natural color. This one adjustment, paying attention to undertone instead of just liking a color in isolation, changes how every single outfit in your closet reads on camera and in person. It's the difference between someone saying you look wonderful today and someone asking if you're feeling alright. Same outfit silhouette, completely different color choice, completely different reaction. Once you identify your current undertone, you can actually expand your color range, not shrink it, because you'll finally know which bold colors are working for you instead of avoiding boldness altogether out of fear. Item 5. The overly matronly cardigan. Cardigans are wonderful. They're practical, they layer well, they transition between seasons effortlessly, and they're a staple for a reason that has nothing to do with age. But there's a specific type that quietly ages an outfit by a decade, and that's the boxy mid-calf length cardigan in a muted, flat color with no structure or detail. It's not that cardigans are the problem. It's that particular cut and styling that reads as covering up rather than dressing well, the kind that seems designed to erase the body underneath rather than complement it. Swap it for a cardigan that hits at the hip or just below, with a slightly fitted shoulder, ideally in a texture that catches light, like a ribbed knit or a subtle cable pattern. Texture does a lot of work here that flat, smooth fabric simply cannot do, because it adds visual interest without adding bulk. Open it over a simple top instead of buttoning it all the way up, which instantly creates a vertical line that's more flattering and elongating than a fully buttoned, boxy silhouette ever could be. The difference between matronly and chic often isn't the garment category at all. It's the length, the fit through the shoulder, and how much of your own shape you let show through the layer. A cardigan should feel like an addition to your outfit, not a way of disappearing inside it. Try one with a belt option too, even if you don't always use it. Just knowing the option exists changes how you style the piece, and cinching it occasionally instantly transforms the same cardigan from shapeless to sculpted. Item 6. The wrong kind of flat shoe. I know comfort matters more now than it ever has, and I am never going to tell you to sacrifice your feet for fashion. That trade-off is not one I'm asking anyone to make. But there's a difference between a comfortable shoe and a shoe that happens to be flat. Many women gravitate toward very rounded orthopedic-looking flats because they associate them with comfort, when in reality, the shape of the shoe is doing more visual damage than the actual support level requires, and the comfort itself often has very little to do with the toe shape at all. A pointed or slightly almond toe flat, in a quality leather or suede, gives you the same all-day comfort as a rounded orthopedic style, but elongates the line of the leg in a way that rounded shoes simply cannot. The toe shape changes the entire proportion of the foot and ankle area, which has a surprisingly large visual effect on how the whole leg reads, even from a distance. Brands now make incredibly supportive shoes in more elegant silhouettes, with cushioned insoles, arch support, and flexible soles built into pointed or almond toe designs. So you genuinely do not have to choose between your feet and your style anymore the way you might have had to a decade or two ago. The technology caught up to the aesthetics. The toe shape alone can be the difference between an outfit looking finished or looking like an afterthought, between looking like you got dressed for the day and looking like you got dressed and then at the last second gave up. If you're someone who needs serious orthopedic support, ask about almond toe options within orthopedic lines specifically, because many comfort-focused brands have quietly started offering more elegant shapes precisely because so many women were asking for exactly this. Item 7. The handbag that's too small or too large. This last one surprises people every time because almost nobody thinks about handbag proportion as a style decision, but handbag size has a bigger effect on how an outfit reads than almost anyone realizes. A bag that's too small relative to your frame can look like a costume prop, almost comically out of place, like it belongs to someone else entirely. A bag that's too large can overwhelm your proportions and drag your whole silhouette downward, making you look shorter and bulkier than you are, even if everything else about the outfit is perfectly chosen. The sweet spot is a structured mid-size bag, something that sits comfortably at the hip or just below it, with enough structure to hold its shape rather than slouching into a shapeless blob by midday. This single accessory choice does more heavy lifting for an outfit's overall polish than people expect, because it's one of the first things the eye registers, even before it fully processes what you're actually wearing. A handbag essentially anchors the whole outfit visually, the same way a frame anchors a painting. If you tend to carry a lot, look for a mid-size structured bag with good internal organization rather than simply sizing up to a larger bag to fit everything. A well-organized mid-size bag will almost always serve you better, both functionally and visually, than an oversized one that ends up half-empty and shapeless anyway. So there you have it, 7 things that fashion rules have told women over 60 to avoid, and the real story behind each one. Notice that none of this was about hiding. Every single fix was about intention. Defined shoulders instead of shapeless fabric. One hero piece instead of 5 competing pieces. The right denim fit instead of the wrong decade. Undertones that match your skin instead of colors you've always defaulted to without question. A cardigan that shows your shape instead of swallowing it whole. A shoe shape that elongates instead of just rounding things off. A bag size that's proportional instead of an afterthought grabbed on the way out the door. None of these changes require an overhaul of your closet or your budget. They don't require buying an entirely new wardrobe or following a trend that will feel foreign to you. They require paying attention to a handful of small specific details that most people simply never explain clearly, the kind of details that get lost between generic fashion advice and what actually works for a body and a face that have lived a full, rich life. And now you know them. If this video helped you see your closet a little differently, hit that subscribe button because every single week, I'm breaking down exactly this kind of practical, no-nonsense style guidance made specifically for women who refuse to let a number define how they dress or how confident they feel walking out the door. Tell me in the comments which one of these 7 surprised you the most, or which one you're going to fix first. I read every single comment, and I would genuinely love to know. I'll see you in the next one.